day.
Good afternoon, good evening, good night, or good morning, depending on where in the world you are watching this show.
Today on That Balloon Show, we're getting things off the ground, literally.
We're making helium-filled bouquets using Prima latex, foils and spheres, perfect for birthdays, babies, and everything in between.
These designs are fun, floaty, and fabulously sellable, whether you're decorating a party or lifting somebody's day. These bouquets are sure to impress.
But before that,
There's this. Welcome back.
hello, hello, hello. Have you missed us?
I didn't, because I was
Just
here.
give me one moment. I'm trying to get the chat up here on this one.
I know we did struggle with chat this evening. I was trying to open it here as well, but it didn't work. Hence why we were a bit later than we would normally be.
Yes.
But we were on, playing some music, doing a little dance.
I know. Generally getting down.
Exactly. And I do have my cup of, I'm going to say coffee today. It was going to be tea, but I upgraded to a coffee.
Well, I have
A classic.
There we go. We got audio going
That
on
was
there.
in the
That's fine.
Past or the future?
That was in the past, but in the future
For you.
but in the past for us. So yes,
16, 42, night, I'm getting the lottery results.
I have a cup of tea.
Well done. All good stuff.
Cheers. How are things in Balloon Land for you guys?
I'll give you a lift. See, I linked it to the title. Never mind.
Okay. I see. So what we're going to do is we're going to get straight on with it. So I'm going to dive through into the studio.
Says us now.
And because we have helium now, we can actually get to play with a bit of helium.
We have.
Because helium is becoming easier to attain now. It's pretty much everywhere. The prices are starting to come down a little bit.
Across multiple suppliers of it as
Yes.
well, which is great. It's not just one of them saying, hey, I've got some for sale. Actually, it's becoming a bit more of a competitive market again as well. And we're seeing that all around.
So we thought we would go back to actually using a bit of helium. So I'm going to dive off. I'm going to take my cup of tea with me.
You normally forget it.
I know. And I'll see you in a minute.
Yes. Go on, you have a look over there. I shall make sure those cameras are turned on.
Can you make sure that the chat is turned on over here as well?
I believe it was, but I shall check before I leave.
Yeah.
Does that seem reasonable?
It does seem reasonable. Because I'm looking on here and it's definitely not on there.
Should definitely be able to see it now, though.
Now, yes, absolutely.
You're welcome. Think nothing of it.
Perfect.
It was always there.
Perfect.
Always. Right. We're going to be flying over to you.
Fly to
there we
me.
go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back into the studio, into the workshop. And we're going to play. We've got some helium sitting right there, just offset for the tank. And we've got equipment. We've got a twin air sizer here for doing some air work. We've got various inflators. The main ones that we're going to use is the autofoil outlet. This one's the one that's got the bubble button on there as well, but we're not going to be using that. We're just going to be using it as an autofoil. And we're going to be using a trigger, but hopefully we'll have to connect that up, otherwise...
It's the new cordless trigger.
Yeah, okay.
Not available anywhere.
It's we're not going to be doing that. So,
do we want to move that cylinder around the middle? Then we can show the fitting on it.
No, I don't think so.
No? It seems like too much
I just think it's a health and safety nightmare moving it right now live. I think that's going to stay there.
Would you like me to move the camera so they can see it?
No, that's fine. They don't need to see it.
Keith's going to mess with that.
Yeah, yes. So we'll just leave that there. Okay, that's fine.
I just see how he reacts to it. No, this pile of rubbish. That
Yes, please do not show. It is offset. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some bouquets. We're going to make it in one style and then show it using different product.
Yes. I will add, though, it is on a cylinder safety stand.
It is on a cylinder safety stand, and you have actually put the cover over the cylinder bottle as well. So it does look rather snazzy, apart from the stuff around it. So, yes.
Right. An effort was made for safety and aesthetics.
Yes, yes.
It
There
was
is
lost on
effort has been made.
you tonight because Keith hit it.
Yes. So what we're going to do is for the first one, we'll.
What are we going to do, Keith?
I think for the first one, we're going to do that one. So.
Or why not run through
What?
the 3 different inflations first of the 3 different products we're going to be using?
Okay.
The foil, the latex, and the sphere, because they're the 3 different elements, and they each have their own characteristics for inflating.
Well, I need to tie them onto ribbons, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you what, we'll do that, that's fine. So we're going to pull some ribbons. I'm going to pull 5 ribbons. We're using the sliding size. It's at the moment, it's set to 19, which is set up for a 20-inch sphere. We inflate them to about 19 inches.
If only Premium Combo made an amazing rack that could hold 8 or 20 spools of ribbon to easy.
I need, for the first bouquet, I need 5 ribbons. Okay, so 1, 2, 3.
And just to add,
4.
from there up to there back again is a full count.
That's right, okay.
Yeah.
And then I keep hold of my centres and we'll cut off at this side, like that. And then that gives us 5 ribbons of the same length.
Slightly oversized for what you generally need,
Quite a bit oversized.
but it is exceptionally inexpensive, and it's better have it a little bit longer and not trying to go, well, I need a shorter one, a longer one, and a medium one. No, we just all the same length. Really good for your prep work.
Yes.
Really good for just having it ready to go. That was with one
Can
ribbon.
you take the weight out of that, please?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to tie onto that. You'll need to unwrap it from the top.
From the top.
What I've done with these is that I've tied all 5 together from one end, and then I'm going to tie this directly onto the weight once Tom's unwrapped it. Now I put it in there and I know that I secured it really, really well.
You went left, left, right, right, left, left, right?
And then let's all watch Dom struggle.
So it's the green one that's connected
The
to...
spearmint, I think you find, spearmint, 5-inch spearmint. There we go. Perfect, okay. Which is sand weighted, so we can make it nice and flat on the bottom. That's why we like using sand weight like this. And then what I'm going to do is just take hold of the neck, and I'm going to tie that ribbon into the bundle of ribbon into there, like that. So it is secure.
So what you're saying is,
Yes.
you've taken your pre-cut ribbons,
Yes.
you've attached them to the weight.
Yes.
So the moment you put on your magically lifted balloon,
Yes.
it's not going to disappear.
Perfect.
Rather than inflating the balloon, tying
Yes.
a ribbon to it, and then having to then wrangle it or put it on the roof or lose it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, people use corrals on the roof and things, and that's absolutely fine if you got them, but
Yeah.
we like to tie directly onto the ribbon. We also have a little bit of sizing going on here as a guide. We've got a baseline, we've got 1, 2, and S for this particular one because it goes base, which is where your weight goes. 1 is it's 19 inches from between the 2 sections, which is where our first 2, in this one, 2 balloons are going to go to. Then 10 inches from there, we've got our second point, which is where our next 2 balloons are going to go to. And then the S at the top is for our sphere. And that's got a little bit more space above it, which is 12 inches above, so that it'll sit nicely at the top. So
Now, sizing-wise, these ones are the same. Sorry, this one here.
there's none of them the same. This
Sorry,
one's,
yeah, so for the 2 layers, sorry. This one is the one that's adjustable, though. So you can move the whole bouquet
Yes.
up or down, depending on your particular venue
Yeah,
choice.
so this is set up for a table.
Yes.
But if, for instance, we wanted to set it for a floor bouquet, we would move it further down. Or if we were in a lower room, we might move it to the other side of the base. But you want this area as long as you possibly can, without going crazy, just because if it's sitting on a table, that's the bit that's people's eye line is when they're talking, when they're sat at the table and they're talking to each other through the table. You just want ribbons there. If you have balloons there, people will take it off, get it out the way. So yeah.
But what I meant by same was, which I didn't mean, I didn't say it that way, was this stays the same. This
Oh,
section
yes.
here stays the same, and you can move that one to your heart's content,
Yes.
whether tall or short or whatever,
Yes.
but these settings will be the same.
And the way that we did this is we create a bouquet and we get happy with how they're sitting out, and we use that as our golden sample to measure everything between. So we sit our sample on, and then we put it and we put our mark down, put our next one, our mark down, and there we go. And it means that you can do, it doesn't matter what size balloons you're working with, you make your golden sample, then you make your sizing guide, and it's...
Because colour's a real big
yeah.
deceiver sometimes. So
Yes.
you might be trying to sort of eyeball and you're really close to the bouquet and where things go height-wise and where they fit. But actually, because of the colour and the close proximity to it, it's really hard to get it right. And you spend time on that, and we want to remove that element. This is also repeatable.
It's a what?
Repeatable.
It is. So if you are doing bouquets for in a venue and you've got like 10 tables, 20 tables, whatever, and you want them to all to look exactly the same, you can repeat the same process and get them exactly. It's not judging by eye. One bouquet is all right, judging by eye, but if you want them the same exactly as you're sitting there and you're looking across your room and they all want to be sitting at the same height, this is the best way to do it.
I think our best example of that one was that big event we did in a conference centres, one of those really bland, big square box conference centres, and it was 87 tables, big 10-foot table things, and the client went for this amazing bouquet. It was jazzy, it had everything in it. Anything you could think of, it was in there, but it was a bit wild.
Yes.
So we made it. We got the quote in there. Client was yes, perfect. So then on the day we went down and we recreated this bouquet. We spent, you know, a bit of time to make it so we were happy. Then using this method, we brought one balloon down, 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 marked it up, duplicated that template, and there's actually 3 of us producing the same bouquet, like a photocopier. It was fantastic.
Dead simple. Thank you very much. We really appreciate that, Danielle. Right, okay, so the balloons that we're going to use for this, I'm going to start off with some 18-inch foils. This is the Daisy, Thinking of You, which the background colour on there is, you'll see, pretty much matches in perfectly to the Prima spearmint, especially once it's inflated. It's like it was designed that way. So we'll get, we have one of those, and then, because we liked it so much, we decided that we're going to have a second one. So we have 2.
That's what one was saying to the other. Thinking of you.
Thinking of you. 2 18-inch foils. I'll just unfold it because we don't want to have the gas unfolded for us, because that's where you start getting faults. Unfold it nicely, and then we shall inflate our foils.
This is where there's been quite a few conversations over the years where people believe that their equipment is the right equipment for it because it does indeed inflate it and it does make it float and it works. However, sometimes you don't see the hidden damage that's happening, which means your balloon is not going to float for as long as it should.
That's right. Yes, it's a hidden killer, because what it does is, if you use high pressure to inflate one of these valves, what it can do is warp the valve itself. And then the valve never goes flat, so that the helium seeps out from it, which we want to avoid.
We've got a few versions of the equipment we're going to use. So Keith's using probably our best go-to piece of equipment. So he's using a 10-foot extension hose, which is working very similar to a normal regulator, but instead of having the equipment directly attached to it, which is great, it does give you the extra extension. So it takes the equipment away from the regulator, puts a hose on, and it comes to a quick disconnect fitting that is a standardized fitting across the premium common range, which means you can interconnect the...
It's a snap-on fitting, as we call it.
It is, and you've got the auto-fill outlet, and this one's got the added on bubble
for
sphere
pressure
type higher pressure, which does work for the spheres and other balloons out there as well. So it's really good for that. And I've got on this one the one without the brass button on, which is the standard regulator, which is used for foil only.
Yes.
Yep. And it doesn't care what size the foil is as well. That's a common question we've been asked. Yeah. How does it know? Well, it's magic.
It works on pressure.
That spoils the...
once you get the correct amount of gas inside, it gets into a pressure, and the back pressure stops it. It just shuts it off. So we're going to do our first foil.
This is also a little bit of a slower fill there as well, so it doesn't open up the valve too aggressively, which is what often a latex inflator would do. So something using like the trigger valve or a flexi tip or a soft touch push down, anything like that. That is full pressure coming from the regulator, and that generally, for any foils out there, is too much too fast.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first ribbon and I'm going to take it up to the first point and put a crease in there so that it makes it dead easy to spot exactly where it's going to go onto my balloon. Put it in the middle, fold up, and then roll up the neck. Fold it over, and we do a double knot. So the first knot goes up there, and second knot goes up there to secure it. Make sure that your weight hasn't moved, and that is your first balloon. What I'm going to do on there is I'm actually going to just so you can see it easy. Normally I would do this at the end,
Yeah.
but I'm going to do this as we go so that you guys can see it a lot easier when it's just a single balloon, right?
Yes.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this to a known length. And instead of having to measure it fully, what I do is I use basically from my little finger to the inside of my elbow. So I put this on here, I measure to the inside of my elbow, and then I cut. Then what it means is that this doesn't really change very often.
No, but it's also it's a nice loose curl that's going on.
Yeah.
So it's going to be of different heights depending on the curl anyway.
Yes.
So it's not something that you're going to be able to gauge.
Doesn't have to be millimetre perfect.
Exactly.
Right?
So it just wants to be nice loose curl in there. So Keith's using the closed scissors.
Yeah, so
do
the
stress that.
outside
Yeah.
of the closed scissors, and just put a nice soft curl in there.
Less,
Don't want to do tight.
less accidents happen that
So
way.
because if you put a lot of pressure on, the ribbon already wants to curl in a direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work with it rather than against it. If I put more pressure on there and do it, you get these tight curls, and I don't want that. It doesn't really add anything to the design. Where this, it makes your eye follow that to the balloon, which is what we should be looking at anyway.
Yeah.
So
I think that
it's
really
nice,
tight curl,
soft
it's too much of a concentration. So it actually draws your eye to it too much.
Yes.
And it takes away from the focal point, which is actually the balloon itself.
It's good if you're doing it near the base because you don't want to end
Yeah.
up with these curls in people's soup.
That's
but, keep it nice and tight around there. But when it's up here, we want to keep it nice and loose.
You can actually undo the curl a little bit as well. So if you do go a bit, too harsh on it, you can
crazy.
just go a little bit on the other side and it'll loosen that curl a little bit. However, if you do that too many times, the ribbon effectively dies. It's got no life left in it and it kind of just, so yeah.
Sometimes what happens is, like this, I'm putting the pressure on there to start it inflating, but it's not inflating. And the reason being is that there's a kink in the valve. So what I'm going to do is hold it open, and then I'm just going to run my fingers across the valve and it'll automatically open that up. So open, ready to go, and then fingers, and it starts.
This is a really
like
good
magic.
example of this being a soft inflation as well, because it felt the pressure had been set, so therefore it's not trying to force that in. Now, if that had been a latex inflator,
Yes.
it would have forced past that, absolutely, but you risk damaging.
You probably would have damaged it in the process.
Yeah. Now, you
Pretty
won't
much.
see it straight away. You won't, because it will be inflated and it will float, but it won't last the length of time that it could do.
So I'm going to the second mark on this one, and then we go fold it up, and I'm going to do exactly the same. So roll the neck, cross it over, do my first knot, hold it, and then the second one to secure it.
The roll-up technique works really well for a couple of reasons. One, it really preserves the shape of the foil, whether it's, whatever shape it is, star, heart, circle. But it also takes the time point to exactly the base of the foil as well.
Yes.
So it means you're going to get the precision with the levels of heights. If you start adding them on to the neck bit, you're likely not going to land it in exactly the same place. So it's going to have some adjustment in the height. So it's a really nice way of making it look better, and the heights are more consistent.
So what I'm doing is, with my sliding size, is that I'm taking it down to 11 inches on the ruler and then screwing that into there. Because we're going to do latex balloons, our 2 latex balloons. So in this case, it's Glam Gold and it's Spearmint in 11 inches. I'm going to inflate it to 11 inches here. So that is the diameter across the balloon. It's not all the way around the balloon. It's not the height of the balloon. It's the width of the balloon. So we put it like this and we can measure it through here. If we had something like a duplicated 2 or a dual split second sizer, we can dial it in, press the button, it does it for us right in 1 second. But we're going to be doing this manually. Now, the autofoil outlet is no good for this. I need to change it for something that's a bit more high pressure. So I'm going to change it over for the trigger valve.
So there are other valves as well. So there's the flexi tip and the push valve that can go on there. However, our firm favourite is the trigger.
Yes.
Because in one hand...
This is going to pop, there we go.
You can, and that gas is still on as well. The quick disconnect there will seal the gas in there, allowing you to change the fittings without having to turn anything off. But in one hand, you can squeeze that trigger and you've got really good fine control. So especially when you start off with latex, you want to start off slowly to kind of open the balloon up to make sure you've kind of got it in the right direction. Then you can increase the speed on it as well. The other options are something like with a piece of kit like this, which is straight on the tank. You've got the autofill outlet, and then you've got your push down.
Yeah,
but this
soft touch as it's called, sort of for reference. So it's got a normally for the larger balloons.
And then you've got a tip for going down to the smaller ones as well.
Yeah.
However, for the most case, you're not going to use it for anything smaller latex-wise. That's more if you've got something like a sphere and you need to get into the valve.
Yes.
That's helpful for that. This push down, though, the soft touch push down, is great on and directly on the cylinder, because you've got the cylinder adding the extra
leverage.
hand.
Yeah,
exactly.
the leverage.
So you can put one balloon on there and push it down, hold a sizing box or sizing guide if you want, and that works really well. But for minimal upgrade, really, the 10-foot extension hose and the trigger is an absolute winner.
Absolutely. So with this, what we're going to do is we're going to so we've taken the gold out of the lettering and here, and we've got the spearmint for the background. So what we're going to do is we're going to put one at one level, one at the other. So we're going to put the spearmint first and then the gold in the middle. So for that, I'm going to take the spearmint and I'm going to use my trigger valve. And because I'm on a 10-foot extension hose, I can inflate where I want to. So I can put this straight into the sizing guide. I don't have to work on the tank.
Time and gas saver, this one.
Yes. So once we have to our 11 inches, it just needs to go through there, just nicely roll through. And it should be a nice shape of balloon as well. I'm twisting the neck of the balloon, taking another ribbon, so this is our third ribbon. I'll take it to the first point, put the crease in, put the crease over the balloon, and then we tie in one hit. So it's tying the balloon and connecting to the ribbon at one hit. If we've missed it, if it's gone a little bit too high, like in this case, what we can do is we can wet the ribbon slightly. So we use our handy bowl of water. And then very gently on the latex balloon, we can slide the ribbon through until it's the same height as our first balloon.
So we can point out as well on this one, Keith measured it correctly to the marker, which is correct. However, depending on your weight, and sand weights like this are not great for it. It depends on how that's moved for him. So if that didn't move this time, it's going to be a different distance from if it did move, so if it leaned over.
Yes.
So watching out for your weight. Now, some weights have the very smooth on the bottom and the slide around, and it's quite easy to not realise it slid. So we actually have some, it's a
anti-slippery, like you would get on a dashboard of a car, you would put on.
Yeah, buy it from inexpensive stores, and it comes on a little
pound shop.
Pound shop,
do you know how much they are?
A pound or euros if you're in Europe, and you just cut a small section
Dollar
out
store.
and it's there. If you have a specific weight, you can make a little jig, do something that works for you. We used to do a lot of, it was a box style one, and they would tip over all the time. So we actually had a piece of wood that clamped on with a hole, so it means it stayed exactly. So when you're doing a lot of them, you're going into sort of that production line method. You can go fast and furious with it because you know it's not going to move.
So if you are doing these bouquets and it's going to be an indoor venue, it means you're not going to get any wind. So I don't need to put the extra knot on, even though that we know we've just shown you that it can slide up and down. If there's going to go for an outdoor venue, what I would do is just put that through and do that as an extra knot before we start. And then it means that it can't slide anywhere on that ribbon. So we go from here to the inside of my elbow again. We'll chop that off. And then again, with a closed pair of scissors, going with the curl that's already there, we'll do a nice gentle curl. So that is lovely.
Nice.
Then we'll do our last one, which is our Glam Gold Latex. Again, I can work directly into the inflator.
That
Happy
made
New
me
Year.
jump a little bit there, Keith.
I stopped there for a moment because I think there was a fault on the back of that balloon there that...
Yes, but you also woke me up more than my coffee did.
Aha! You're welcome.
Yes. We've also not treated
Happy
these.
New Year!
We've also not treated these balloons as
No,
well.
because I didn't want to get covered in high floor.
This is true. However, if this bouquet was going out anything longer than an event,
In one night, yeah.
Yeah, and it's for a gift bouquet or something, because the foil is going to last the length of time it's going to, we want the latex to last somewhere closer to that, so we can treat it with one of the balloon life extenders, something like high float, a nice even coating on the inside, and then inflated. This equipment works absolutely perfect with that as well, so the trigger valve is pretty indestructible for that. It doesn't matter how much high float and the like it gets on it, it is absolutely fine. Water-based, it'll wash off.
Yep. And then we'll do, so this is our fourth balloon.
Lovely. And because all those ribbons originally were all the same length, it doesn't matter which one he's picking, even though right now at the end, he needs the taller one. I have seen, and I've had this debate, where somebody spent the time to go, well, actually, I save a bit of money on ribbon because I don't cut all of these. I keep these too short, and I do these a little bit longer.
But you picked the wrong one.
How much time, even if you don't pick it wrong, if you get it right every single time, you've got to find the right ribbon, or it's the right one, okay, get the right one, and also spend more time to cut it where you can just crudely pull them. You did that with one ribbon as well.
Yes.
Now, especially with the Prima Common ribbon racks, where you can just grab a few of them because they all feed through, you can do 2, 3, 4 at the same time. So just load it with the same colour, pull 3, 4 at the time, and you're doubling up your productivity as well.
So I've just changed my sliding size to 19 so that I can take my Prima Sphere, which is a 20-inch, and unfold it. It has self-sealing valve already. So pretty. Is that for me? Thank you.
Can't be.
Wow. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start to inflate it. Now, the best way to open a valve on the Prima Spheres is either with a hand pump or with something like the end off the autofoil outlets. So what I'm going to do is just put that in there and slide it in to open up the valve. And once it goes on there, it's opened up the valve inside, and it's very easy now for me to use.
Because you can actually use the autofoil outlet to start it off as well, but the pressure won't be enough to open that valve up. You'll have to have a higher pressure, and force like that can damage anything. So actually, any bits of equipment here will do it. I actually did it yesterday with the autofoil bubble version.
Right.
So it took it, but it's not as efficient in time-wise as the trigger.
We're going to get this up to 19 inches. There we go, 19 inches. It's nicely through there. And then on these, what we're going to do is, where that seal is if you just run your fingers back through, just to make sure that that sits down nice and it shuts the valve off again. Yeah, and it's going to, what it is that it will hold it anywhere. It's just you'll get more life out of your balloons if you just give that a bit of a push
and
over.
that's what most of this is about. The other thing as well is when you're going to do this technique, you don't want any of the helium to create a bit of a bubble in this section, which is going to give you a bit of a challenge for tying.
Yes, so I'm going to go all the way up to my S mark on here, and then we shall roll up the neck like we just did on the foils. So rolling that all the way up as far as we can, and then fold that over, and we tie with our first ribbon.
It's keeping your finger and thumb together whilst you do that first one, so it doesn't open back out again, which gives it a bit of a lazy look to the knot.
Yeah, and then it means that with the measuring that we've done, it will sit just above the rest of it, so it show itself off in the best possible way, which you can see you can't because it's too tall for the...
Do you want me to move the camera up?
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this down. I'm just doing my last...
Keith's also pulling the ribbons out to the side there as well. It's really important to do that as you're working through it, because when you are proficient at this, you're more likely to stab the balloon with the scissors as you work through it. So just a good habit is to find that ribbon, pull it out to the side, and make sure you're cutting the right one. Now, the easy way to tell if you've cut the right one or not is...
It's not on the roof.
If it's not on the roof, you've cut the right one.
Yes. So we've got our, the Thinking of You daisy, which has got the white daisy on there, which we've carried on the theme into the top with our daisy sphere, although there is a spearmint daisy bubble sphere, on there as well. We've got the glam gold from the writing, and we're just going to take it down to the weight. We've done a very simple base down here, which is using 5-inch spearmint and glam gold that we're putting into the bottom. So I'm just going to pull this into here. So I'm putting that sand weight as far in as I can, pull up, and then just wrap around once.
And you don't want to overwrap that because you're going to adjust your height there as well.
Yes.
So that's really important to do.
Because this one is actually going to be, it's designed to be on the floor as well. So it's, so we're going to do one last thing, which is bring in a daisy balloon into the bottom. So this is the 24-inch
nice
white daisy, rather than the larger one, which is the 30.
One in a packet?
Yeah. And then it looks huge as it's on there.
The complexity of the shape, once it starts to inflate, really brings that down.
Yeah, and I'm just using a hand pump. Best thing to use for this would be the Premium Common,
Or the foil.
the Foil Pro.
Foil Pro, yeah, even.
Yeah.
It's hiding over there.
Yeah.
Seems far too far for me to go and get it.
And I'm not going crazy with it. I can inflate it at a decent speed, but I'm not going crazy because I don't want to
You want the air
overinflate
to work its way through the inner chambers there.
Just inflate it to it's a nice finish.
Like that one?
Yes. It has Prima on one side and it has nothing on the other side. So what I want to do is I want to keep that to the front, the clear side of the front. So I'm just going to push down and force it the other way so that it means that that's going to sit nicely on there. And then what I can do is I can add this either into the base and have the whole thing come out, or I can do a connection where I can tie into the bottom of here, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to take a piece of stretchy balloon tape.
Firm favourite.
And I need a piece of 260. I have one here.
We'll see. Was
In
that draw or the
spearmint.
straw? Oh, look at that. I was luck more than judgment, though, I ain't going to say.
Yeah, and then we'll
You were like, yes,
cut that off.
excellent.
I put that there earlier.
You did.
Totally did. And then we'll pull that off. Oh, sorry. So I did not mean to do
Gonna go
that.
and get- Where's my weapon? I have my elastic batting gun somewhere.
And
Let's
then
pan the camera over to this side. No
we
pressure.
shall take the stretchy balloon tape, pull that across. I'm actually going to take it off to one side.
Oh, I see. So
Yeah,
maybe a
so I'm just
longer.
going to have a longer bit. So, as you'll see.
So an asymmetric 260 connection.
Yes.
Nice.
So I've got, because I've used a scrap, which is a half of a 260, which would what we would have off making flowers or whatever. What I'm going to do is I only want this one end because I'm not taking it into tie, I'm just taking it into wrap. So I can take this end like this.
It's only holding that
Yeah.
particular element on, so that 260 is more than enough to cope with that. So
Yeah. So I'm just
again,
gonna
from
tie
prep
that.
work point of view as well, is you can have your bag done with all these types of weights done in. You can have your ribbons done tied to the sand weight ready to roll. You can have your daisies inflated with the connection point attached, which is always better to do the connection point in advance to give it a little bit of time for that adhesive to really set in.
Yeah,
So
because that's just proven.
and again, anything, especially in the studio temperatures, it's going to affect it. So you want to give it time to kind of adhere to that. So that's the way to go. But that's really good ways of breaking down the different elements of a bouquet to go, let's not have a really crazy, Friday, Saturday. Let's break some of those down. So maybe it's a day before, 2 days before to make it easier.
So we're going to use what we would normally do.
You were just bypassing the thing, you get away with it.
Is by taking a Sharpie marker and putting onto the areas that I'm going to be attaching to. What this does is it takes the top layer off, which is like almost like a varnish on the top layer, and it makes it far easier for the adhesive to actually, go for it, to stick to it. So, yeah. I thought I would get away with it, but it wasn't going to.
I think we should be all right now.
Yeah. And that's straight away. Normally, again, you would leave it for a while, like Dom said, because the longer you leave an adhesive on there, the stronger the bond becomes. So for this one, we are just going to attach it straight off.
Because you want to have that confidence when it's going out the door that you know it's not just going to suddenly fall apart.
Yes.
We don't want that. So anything that you can do to give you that confidence, that's definitely the way forward.
And then that means that attaches to the bottom of there, and we have our base as it sits to the side with our flower. Now, if you wanted to have it so that this is going to sit on the floor to walk around, either we can add some more greenery on here, or we can add a second one on, or whatever you want to do. It's entirely up to you. In fact, we would encourage you just to play with it and see what you come up with.
Do you know what I'm going to suggest we show? Because
What are you gonna do?
It came up in a conversation just recently.
What's that?
The very first delivery we ever did
Oh, okay.
of bouquets, and there were the bouquets of 3 balloons. It was nothing extravagant, and we were over the moon. We had these 15 bouquets to deliver. Well, this is going to be easy. Well, we're going to be millionaires. We've brought these balloons out the van.
And the wind hit
It
them.
wasn't even much wind either, was it?
No.
It was just this little light wafting breeze. And these balloons are... And we spent the next hour untangling these balloons.
Yeah. And we said never ever again.
Yeah. So we learned.
Yeah.
Now there's two ways you can transport them. There is balloon bags that you can put them into, which we have used for years. Fantastic. When we're transporting them without a bag, we use this method. Now normally we use it with a different colour, something really garish that does not go.
Bright orange ribbon was the old one that we always used. Because we never used orange ribbon, so we always used bright orange.
And it would stand out so to the client they could see exactly what it is. And what we would do is we take this piece of scrap ribbon and we take it around the core part of the ribbons that are on the balloons, and we bring it round and we create a loop and pull that through, so it's just a temporary knot. And what that does is it creates a bunch and locks it all in together.
Yes.
Which means this can spin, that's all right, but it's not going to twist them together. And then when the client gets it, because they can see that it's orange, they can just pull that and undo it.
Yeah, and it's ready to go, and it's perfect for the client.
So if you don't want to or can't use or don't have the bags available, that's just a really inexpensive way of doing it with a bit of ribbon, but we definitely, the bright orange was the one for us.
Okay, so what we can do is we can take that particular design and we change out the product. We'll change it for happy birthday smiley faces, and we'll add it, instead of a flower on the base, we can add in a number, because this is the Prima 16-inch number, foil numbers, which come in a pack of 2.
This is a 3.
It still comes in a pack of 2. So you buy one, you get one free.
Fantastic. So it's got the same base that Keith's just done on that one, done and built in the same method. It's got the number 3 in there. That's directly attached with the valve brought into the base because it looks best that way.
Yeah.
And then the top is built exactly the same. So we've got a foil, 18-inch Prima foil with an 18-inch Prima latex there. And then we've got the same, and then boom,
20-inch sphere.
all smiles.
It's using the exact same style of bouquet, but just changing up the product, and we get something very different.
Totally different, though.
So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to take the these colours and these particular products and then use them into a slightly different style of bouquet. So what we're going to do is we have a base which is exactly the same. So the base is these are 5-inch balloon size to 4.5 inches. Pool party, yes.
And red.
And red, and they're 5-inch size to 3.5 inches. And then what we need to do is we need to create a topiary ball. So a topiary balls, this one is sized, everything is 3 inches in this one. So we've taken all of the colours and we've made a topiary ball. So it's 12 balloons. And if you haven't seen them before, we've done them loads on different episodes.
It's the overthought design, and people kind of get it like it's harder than it is. But it is 12 balloons. It's also 2 flowers.
Yes, it's 1 flower.
5 balloons, so it's a 3.
Oh, 1 second, can we change it so it's got colour so you can see it?
We got
no, I think we haven't got enough on anything. No, so it's 1, 2 few on everything.
1, 2 few.
Because it's 3 colours. So that means there's 4 of every design.
So that's the I'm going to come closer.
Yeah, go closer.
Zoom in.
I'm going to get a zoom.
So
you're not zooming.
You've got
I'm going
the
to get ready.
centre, and then you've got the 5 that go around
over
there.
here.
So that's your 6 balloons. So
see
it's
the size of Dom's head from here. So these heads look big.
Bigger than bigger. And it's just them back to back, and then that's 2 flowers joined together.
Right, okay, so we're going to open up this sphere, which is a 20-inch sphere, and we need some ribbon.
You want more ribbon? Jeez.
Well, actually, we'll just do this one by eye, because it's a single one-off. So we have our 20-inch sphere.
But it's so expensive, the ribbon.
And
Here, do you want to use some scraps? I'll join them.
No, you're good. You're good. We'll call that Plan B. I'm using this to open up that valve for me, so it makes it much easier as we go forward. And then we'll use our trigger valve. It's a 20-inch sphere, so it's sized to 19 inches on this one, just to give it a little bit of extra. And then off we go.
You're good. It'll reshape itself.
No,
you felt it.
I knew. I could feel that.
He did. He called it early.
I was like, I'm not feeling it today.
Have you got the other one in the drawer? No.
You know what I'm going to do is, can you cut that one off because they can't see it anyway?
What, Mick? our life a little bit easier.
Yeah, because
Here's
we're
what-
running well over.
Not like us.
Yeah.
Right, there we go.
That looks about the right size ribbon as well. So what I'm going to do
I
is
could it so well.
I'm going to tie this into the base of here, normally tied directly to the weight, but we'll just wrap that in. And then that gives us our Prima sphere on a base. We're going to tidy this neck up on here by adding in a collar, which is sized to 3.5 inches. So it's going in there, and then I'm just wrapping over 2 of the balloons so that it tidies up the neck of there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go halfway. So what I'm going to do is find my halfway point. So if I just pull out, if I put that sitting on top of each other and pull out the ribbon to the side, that finds me the halfway point. And then it means that this halfway point needs to go into the middle of our total ball.
And just be, again, careful not to wrap and wrap and wrap, because
Yep.
it's going to adjust that middle point.
So I just go around and lock it by going around once.
You can take off some of the weight of this as well if you're concerned about lift, in the fact that all the extra necks of those 5-inch can be chopped off to reduce the weight. However, the lift of the 20-inch Prima sphere is
It's considerable.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you really kind of don't need to worry about it too much. However, if you're looking for it being a deliverable that you want the longest potential float time, then as you're making those pairs, use something like the common quick cutter and just trim them off.
Chop off
And
all your
then-
necks, chop off all your
Yeah,
necks.
and you've got to get more float time out of it. It's not going to be to the point where it's going to struggle. You're just looking for how much sort of mileage you're going to get out of this.
Yeah, and then lastly, just because we have it, if we went back and took the original Thinking of You style, or at least the daisy and spearmint with the white, and then all of a sudden we've come back into same design, just change up the product, and you get a very different effect.
Now this one hasn't got any glam gold in it because this design on its own doesn't have that gold in.
Yeah, it doesn't have the Thinking of You foil there, so.
However, if you are going to coordinate it in with a balanced bouquets with around a room or whichever, you could bring in little elements of
Oh, absolutely,
it'd
just
be lovely
little
to kind
tiny
of coordinate that.
Dopplers
But as a
or,
standalone piece,
Yeah.
didn't need to add the glam gold because it doesn't have it on the sort of the focal point. So run with it as it is.
And there we go. That is everything, and we've gone well over.
No.
We have. That is everything.
You carry on
for
talking, I'll
this
go find some
week.
buttons.
We actually, if you have a look on our schedule, you'll see that there is a very special extra live show that's happening on Monday, which is 10 a.m. UK time, 11 a.m. Central European time, and other times available in America. If you want to join us for that, we will be making one of our very popular hoop designs. Again, we're going to be focusing, because it's summer, we're heading out of spring into summer, we're going to be focusing heavily onto the daisy designs, which is very popular at the moment. So we look forward to seeing you there.
So other than that, that's a bye from you,
It is a bye from me.
and it's a bye from me. See you next time.
Bye-bye now.